Might have gotten too high for this one. Welcome back to Dumbslate, a podcast about movies. My name is Felix, and I'm your host. We only have 4 minutes and 20 seconds, so let's get started. Today, we are covering Longlegs, written and directed by Osgood Perkins. It's starring Micah Monroe as Agent Lee Harkin, Alicia Witt as Ruth, Lee's mom, and Nick Cage as Longlegs. It's also featuring Kiernan Shipka as Carrie Ann and Blair Underwood as Agent Carter. Longlegs follows Agent Lee Harkin, a half-psychic, fresh-on-the-force FBI agent who gets put on the case of Longlegs, a serial killer having committed odd murders spanning over the last 12 years. Yet, the closer she comes to Longlegs, the closer she comes to finding out more about her past. Off the bat, Longlegs felt like a fresh horror film with lots of influence. It was compared to Silence of the Lambs so much leading up to the film that I actually watched it a couple of weeks before, and I can see the comparison between having a lead female detective and a psycho murderer, but Longlegs felt like something I hadn't seen before. Now, I do have to bring up what is so cool about the writer and director Osgood Perkins. This is his third feature film, and it's definitely the one that got him on the map in terms of cinephiles, but that's not what I care about. I love that his dad is Anthony Perkins, who played Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho in 1960, only one of the most influential horror films of all time. So it's crazy for him to come up and write and direct a top 5 original horror film of this year, in my opinion. Back to the film, a few things I do think that separate it from other horrors is for sure the cinematography. From shooting parts in 8mm lenses, consistent aesthetic and color palettes, and fun angles. One example being the scene at Lee's cabin/house on the phone with her mom and while opening the letter that Longlegs leaves her. The shot is focused directly on Lee with an archway into the kitchen behind her, and it just makes you hold your breath the entire film, thinking that someone is about to walk into the background or you're about to have a jump scare moment. And it was a scene that really stuck with me walking out of the theater. And while it was unique to this film, it was something I haven't experienced in any recent horror films. It does remind me a lot of Rosemary's Baby, when Polanski intentionally uses an odd angle for a camera with the wall blocking the main subject, and it almost makes the audience lean to the right, as if they would actually be able to see into the room if they leaned across. So, that was just fun and unique. I think, though, the best part was Longlegs himself. Osgood created such a good, creepy fucking villain, but credit goes to Nick Cage, who was completely unrecognizable in terms of the makeup, and I could really only make out that the character was him due to his voice at certain points. And it really left you wanting more screen time for him, but the focus was on Lee, and that really does make sense. I think the one main flaw after 3 watches of this is the psychic thing with Lee, which essentially kicked off the film. It's mentioned that she's basically half psychic or has this inklings that lead her in the right direction, but it wasn't brought up again. I mean, I do realize now it is because she grew up with evilness around her and that maybe it's just something she can sense, but the whole psychic part itself just fell off completely. Other than that, I really enjoyed this film. Alicia Witt really made an impactful supporting role at the end. My rating, 4. I know that's such a common rating for me. I'll do some bad films, but do you know how hard it is to sit through a 2-star film and have notes? What am I going to say? It was watchable at best, and Sydney Sweeney played a character for the 6th time this year. Average rating, 3.4. I wish it was over that 3.5. Favorite letterbox rating comes from Jim. His legs aren't even that long. Stoner friendly? Absolutely yes. If you haven't caught on, every movie is stoner friendly. Which Nick Cage movie wouldn't be? Would you watch with your parents? To be honest, should you watch any horror film with your parents? I think Sinister and Conjuring really fucked parents up having to take their kids to watch that in theaters. So they just said no more. So leave this one for your friends unless your parents really want to watch. Thank you for listening. Join us next Monday at 4:20 where we cover The Substance by Coralie Farge and Cut. We're literally smoking and talking about movies.